When my phone rang that afternoon, I didn't recognize the number at first. I was standing in aisle 7 of the local grocery store, holding a half-empty basket and trying to convince my 6-year-old to pick just one cereal box. He was laughing, unaware that life can change between one ringtone and the next. "Hello," I said. There was silence, a breath, and then a voice I hadn't heard in 8 months. "Daniel? Where are you?" I froze. My ex-wife, calling out of nowhere after vanishing without a word. I looked at my son. He was squinting at the cereal mascots, humming something off-key. "Aisle 7, I said slowly, unsure why I was answering. "With our son." Another pause, then a soft, shaky laugh. "You're with him?" "Yes, Melissa. He's right here. Why are you calling me?" People moved around me, pushing carts, unaware that the floor beneath me had tilted. 8 months ago, she'd walked out, said she needed time to find herself. She'd found someone else instead, a coworker named Derek, who wore expensive watches and spoke like he'd never been told no. The day she left, she packed everything with surgical precision. Not a fight, not even tears. Just the calm efficiency of someone clocking out for the last time. Now her voice trembled through the phone. "Daniel, I made a mistake. That sentence used to mean something. Back then, when we still believed in fixing things. But standing under fluorescent lights with my son tugging my sleeve, it sounded like static. "What do you want?" I asked. She exhaled. "I just wanted to hear your voice." And his, "Please, can you put him on the phone?" I almost said no. But then I looked at my boy, his face glowing with the kind of innocence adults spend their whole lives trying to reclaim. I handed him the phone. "It's Mom." His eyes widened. "Mom." He pressed the phone to his ear. "Hi. Guess what? I learned to tie my shoes." I stepped back, pretending to read a label while my chest tightened. Her muffled voice came through, warm and cracking. He giggled, nodding, telling her about school and his new friend Mason. When he gave me back the phone, he whispered, "She said she misses me." I swallowed hard. "Yeah, buddy. I'm sure she does." Melissa's voice returned, quieter now. "Can we meet? The three of us. Please." I stared at the shelves. Rows of soups and sauces, everything neatly in place. "You left, Melissa. You didn't just leave me, you left him. You can't just call and pretend it was a vacation." She started crying, the kind that doesn't sound rehearsed. "I know. He doesn't deserve that. You don't either. Derek, he wasn't who I thought he was. Of course he wasn't. They never are." I felt anger rise, but it wasn't sharp anymore. It was dull, heavy, familiar. "You should tell that to someone who cares." She tried again. "Daniel, please. I'm back in town. I've been thinking about everything. I want to make it right." I looked at my son. He was lining up cereal boxes like soldiers, humming again. The world didn't pause for heartbreak. It just kept playing background music. "Melissa," I said, "the only right thing left to do is stay consistent. He's finally sleeping through the night without asking where you are." There was a long silence, broken only by the store's faint announcement about a sale on canned goods. Then she whispered, "I'll call you later." "Don't." I ended the call. For a moment, I stood still, my hand trembling around the phone. I wanted to feel something, rage, grief, relief, but all I felt was a strange, hollow calm. My son looked up. "Dad, can we get both cereals?" I smiled faintly. "Yeah, let's get both." As we walked to the checkout, I realized I'd stopped waiting for her voice months ago. Maybe she was calling to find closure. Maybe to test if she still had a place here. But the truth was, that place had already been filled, with peace, quiet, and a little boy who still believed mornings could start happy. What I didn't know then was that her call wasn't just about regret. It was a warning of something darker, something she hadn't told me yet. The next few days passed quietly, though a part of me stayed on edge. I kept expecting another call, another apology. But silence has its own language, and after a while I began to believe maybe she'd finally moved on. For real this time. That was until Friday evening. I was cooking dinner when my son came running from the living room, holding my phone. Dad, it's Mom again. I hesitated, wiping my hands on a towel before taking the call. Melissa. Her voice came out rushed, panicked. Daniel, please listen to me. I didn't know who else to call. What's going on? She inhaled shakily. Derek, he's been following me. He won't leave me alone. I closed my eyes, leaning against the counter. Of course, the man she'd chosen over her family now turning into the monster she thought I was too boring to be. Where are you? I asked. At a motel off Highway 17. He's parked outside. I'm scared. Daniel. Please. Every rational part of me wanted to say no, to tell her to call the police, not me. But something inside me, the part that still remembered who she used to be, couldn't ignore it. I told my son to grab his shoes and coat. Within minutes, we were in the truck, driving through the rain. The wipers moved in slow, rhythmic arcs, each one sweeping away memories I thought I'd buried. When I pulled into the motel parking lot, I saw her immediately, standing under a flickering light, drenched, clutching her bag like a lifeline. She looked smaller somehow, her usual confidence stripped away. I parked and got out, keeping my voice even. Where is he? She pointed toward a black SUV parked across the lot. His headlights flashed once, then went dark. He's been watching me for hours, she said. Every time I try to leave, he blocks my car. I turned to her, the anger finally catching up. You walked out of our home for that man. And now you're calling me because you want to feel safe again. Tears mixed with the rain on her face. I know I don't deserve your help, Daniel. But please, I just need to get out of here. My son shifted in the truck, his small face pressed against the window, confused. I took a breath. Fine. But after tonight, you're on your own. I drove them both to a diner a few miles away. She sat across from me, shivering, hands wrapped around a cup of coffee she never drank. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone, she whispered. I stared at her, remembering the nights I waited by the window, the mornings I woke to an empty bed. You realized it too late. She nodded. He said he'd protect me, take care of me. Then he started checking my messages, showing up at work. When I tried to leave, he said he'd make sure you'd never trust me again. I sighed. You didn't need his help with that. Her lip trembled, but she didn't argue. For the first time, she looked like someone who understood the weight of her choices. After I made sure she was safe with the police, I took my son home. He fell asleep on the way, his small hand resting on his toy truck. I sat in the driveway long after the engine stopped. The rain had turned to drizzle, soft against the windshield. When my phone buzzed again, it was a message from Melissa. Thank you. I'll sign the papers tomorrow. You deserve peace. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The next morning, sunlight broke through the clouds, spilling gold across the kitchen floor. My son padded in, hair messy, eyes still half closed. Dad, can we go to the park today? Yeah, buddy, I said, smiling. We can. As he ran off to grab his shoes, I realized something. Closure doesn't always arrive with grand apologies or perfect endings. Sometimes it comes quietly, like a phone call in a grocery aisle, or a final message that needs no answer. Melissa had finally said goodbye, and for once, I believed her. But as I stood there, coffee in hand, I couldn't shake the feeling that maybe her call hadn't just been about fear. It was also about envy, because the peace she went searching for in someone else's arms, she found it here, in the life she'd abandoned. And this time I wasn't giving it back.